God the Almighty has made our nation. By defending its existence, we are defending His work. The fact that this defense is fraught with incalculable misery, suffering, and hardships makes us even more attached to this nation, but it also gives us that hard will needed to fulfill our duty even in the most critical struggle. That is, not only to fulfill our duty toward the decent, noble Germans, but also our duty toward those few infamous ones who turned their backs on their people. In this fateful battle, there is therefore for us but one command. He who fights honorably can thus save his own life and the lives of his loved ones. But he who, because of cowardice or lack of character, turns his back on the nation shall inexorably die an ignominious death. That National Socialism succeeded in awakening and strengthening this spirit in our German people is a great achievement. Only when this mighty world drama will have died away and the bells of peace are ringing will realization come of what the German people owes to this spiritual renaissance, no less than its existence in this world. Only a few months and weeks ago, Allied statesmen openly outlined the German fate. Thereupon, they were warned by some newspapers to be more intelligent and rather to promise something, even though nobody intended to keep this promise later. As an inexorable National Socialist and a fighter for my people, I now wish to assure these statesmen once and for all that every attempt at influencing National Socialist Germany through slogans, lies, and distortions presupposes a simple-mindedness unknown to the Germany of today. The fact that political activities and lies are inextricably linked in a democracy is of no consequence. Decisive is that every promise given by these statesmen to a people is today quite meaningless, because they are not in a position ever to fulfill any such promise. This is as if one sheep promised another sheep to protect it against a tiger. I herewith repeat my prophecy. England will not only not be in a position to control Bolshevism, but her development will unavoidably evolve more and more toward the symptoms of this destructive disease. The democracies are unable to rid themselves now of the forces they summoned from the steppes of Asia. All the small European nations who capitulated confident of Allied assurances are facing complete annihilation. It is entirely uninteresting whether this fate will befall them a little earlier or later. What counts is its implacability. The Kremlin Jews are motivated only by tactical considerations. Whether in one case they act with immediate brutality or in another case with some reticence, the result will always be the same. Germany, however, shall never suffer this fate. The guarantor thereof is the victory achieved 12 years ago within our country. Whatever our enemies may plot, whatever sufferings they may inflict on our German cities, on German landscapes, and above all, on our people, all that cannot bear any comparison with the irreparable misery, the tragedy that would befall us if the plutocratic Bolshevistic conspiracy were victorious. Therefore, it is all the more necessary on this 12th anniversary of the rise to power to strengthen the heart more than ever before and to steel ourselves in the holy determination to wield the sword, no matter where and under what circumstances, until final victory crowns our efforts. On this day, I do not want to leave any doubt about something else. Against an entire hostile world, I once chose my road according to my inner call and strode it as an unknown and nameless man to final success. Often they reported I was dead, and always they wished I were, but in the end, I remained victor in spite of all. My life today is with an equal exclusiveness determined by the duties incumbent on me. Combined, they are but one, to work for my people and to fight for it. Only He can relieve me of this duty who called me to it. It was in the hand of Providence to snuff me out by the bomb that exploded only 1.5 meters from me on July 20th, and thus to terminate my life's work. That the Almighty protected me on that day, I consider a renewed affirmation of the task entrusted to me. In the years to come, I shall continue on this road, uncompromisingly safeguarding my people's interests, oblivious to all misery and danger, and filled with the holy conviction that God the Almighty will not abandon him who, during all his life, had no desire but to save his people from a fate it had never deserved, neither by virtue of its number nor by way of its importance. Therefore, I now appeal to the entire German people, and above all, to my old fellow fighters and to all the soldiers to gird themselves with a yet greater, harder spirit of resistance, until we can again, as we did before, put on the graves of the dead of this enormous struggle a wreath inscribed with the words, "And yet you were victorious." Therefore, I expect every German to do his duty to the last, and that he be willing to take upon himself every sacrifice he will be asked to make. I expect every able-bodied German to fight with the complete disregard for his personal safety. I expect the sick and the weak, or those otherwise unavailable for military duty, to work with their last strength. I expect city dwellers to forge the weapons for this struggle, and I expect the farmer to supply the bread for the soldiers and workers of this struggle by imposing restrictions upon himself. I expect all women and girls to continue supporting this struggle with utmost fanaticism. In this appeal, I particularly address myself to German youth. In vowing ourselves to one another, we are entitled to stand before the Almighty and ask Him for His grace and His blessing. No people can do more than that. Everybody who can fight, fights, and that everybody who can work, works, and that they all sacrifice in common, filled with but one thought: to safeguard freedom and national honor, and thus the future of life. However grave the crisis may be at the moment, it will, despite everything, finally be mastered by our unalterable will, by our readiness for sacrifice, and by our abilities. We shall overcome this calamity too, and this fight too will not be won by Central Asia, but by Europe. And at its head will be the nation that has represented Europe against the East for 1,500 years, and shall represent it for all time. Our greater German Reich, the German nation.
I would like to take a moment to thank all of my patrons who fund this work: Gold Ben, DJ Aaron Edwards, Space Captain Myron, Harrison Musicata, and Carlisle. If you would like to help fund more videos like this, please consider joining us on patreon.com/Time Unveiled or hit the join button below this video. I could not do it without all of your support. I would also like to thank all of you in the comments for your wonderful suggestions, and thank all of you for watching. Stay awesome.